Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening to this, wherever you're watching this. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? You are watching the 5th episode of Not Another Digital Marketing Podcast, brought to you by First Page Hong Kong and First Page Singapore. My friend Aaron Ratcliffe, how are you doing, sir? We missed you last week, by the way.
I know I missed you guys so much, but I watched the clips. You guys did the BLT. Is that the name of the band?
You're just trying to trigger me right now, aren't you? No. BTS.
Same thing. BTS, BLT. It's all. But you guys did a fantastic job. Sarah's a rising podcast star on the Singapore side. I gotta watch out. She's coming after me.
Yeah, I think she's gonna replace the both of us, man. I think that's what's gonna happen. I think it's just gonna be an hour of just her talking about her favorite recipes, and it's gonna get like 1 million views, and we're just gonna be out of a job.
I would subscribe immediately to that podcast.
Oh, definitely. Right. And speaking of podcast episodes that I think people do want to talk about, recipes, Christmas recipes, marketing Christmas recipes. That's our theme for today. We're going to be talking...
I saw how you pulled that all together.
Yeah,
nicely done.
Yeah, I know. You love my segues. You know you do.
I do.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about marketing a COVID Christmas. As we all know, things are a bit different right now all around the world. We're going through a pretty collectively traumatic global event, right? And it's something I think that's worth talking about as we approach the holiday season, right? I mean, Thanksgiving just passed us by a week ago, and now we're looking forward to Christmas. But before we dive into what the COVID Christmas is going to bring to us, I think it's good for us to talk about what do we normally expect from Christmas campaigns. I mean, Aaron, let's put you in a frame of mind here, right? Let's put you in a frame of mind where it's like, it's a normal Christmas season. Mr. Marketer, what are you doing?
Well, trying to take advantage of the times, I mean, as marketers, we're always, we're looking at culture, we're looking at current events, and we're trying to leverage them to get our brand in front of people in the right ways. So typically Christmas is a time where sales are high. Conversions are high. People are ready to shop. They got that credit card in their hand. So it's usually an exciting time for businesses. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to sort of leverage that in a way that reflects the values of the brand while also hopefully driving some sales.
Yeah. And the thing is that like lots of brands capitalize during this time of the period because, they really like highlighting traditional Christmas imagery, right? The family gatherings, the tree. We haven't put up our tree yet, which is, I think, Sarah's going to get on that because she's always on the ball.
Our tree up. It's
she's
great.
going to replace everybody in this office, man. Yeah.
We have a real tree here, and it's got the smell, and it's so nostalgic, and it brings you back. The power of smell is so powerful, and that's what Christmas is all about in the holidays. Are these powerful, nostalgic sort of images and feelings and memories, and that's what this time of the year is all about. And traditionally, with marketing campaigns, we try to capitalize upon them. Try to capitalize upon family. And, being together with your loved ones and focusing on the things that are important. And that's typically what Christmas campaigns have been all about. Look at like traditional Christmas campaigns from companies like Starbucks, Nike. Like we all know those old, campaigns that we've been watching on television, that we've been seeing on YouTube for years. And they always were very good at striking that emotional chord and really helping sort of create a relationship with their customers. I mean, thinking of like some of the old Folgers commercials I remember watching when I was a kid, like how they incorporated, the brand, the smell of Folgers as they woke up on Christmas morning and they started their Christmas as a family with Folgers. How about you? Like, you got any Christmas sort of marketing campaigns that were noteworthy for you or memorable?
Gosh, there was one that was way back in the early 90s because I stayed in the UK from when I was 6 to the age of 10, right? And there were some really, lots of the Christmas campaigns that I remembered back then were, the toy ones, obviously, because that's what I cared about as a kid. And, I remember where they had, maybe I'm just imagining this, but where they had the Transformers, those little, the robots, right? Robots in disguise. And they all gathered for a Christmas thing, which was weird because I've never seen, Optimus Prime eat a turkey until that moment in time. But that was weird.
I didn't know Optimus Prime ate anything.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it was so strange to see that because they had the Autobots and everybody coming together for a Christmas dinner. That's something that stuck with me because I suppose it was emotional in the sense that this took something from my childhood and was like, okay, here you go. Let's put them in a Christmas setting. And immediately after that, I'm like, Mom, Dad, I want another Optimus Prime to go with my other 15 Optimus Primes. So I guess
Of course.
that's the one that worked. It really hit the emotional side for me for Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But it's effective, right? Because
Yeah.
it's the brands that you love, and they're creating campaigns that you can empathize with as they're experiencing the holidays. You're experiencing the holidays.
Yep. That was the one that I remember the most, but it's not my favorite, though.
Oh,
It's
you got a
not
favorite.
my favorite, though. I think my favorite Christmas campaign, it had all the hallmarks. It had the emotional side of it. It had, the brand presence wasn't so, what's the word? I think it was, what's the phrase we like to use? It was soft selling the brand presence, right? And it was really hitting on the emotional side. And I'm referring, of course, to, and I'm sure other people have heard of this, the WestJet Christmas campaign of 2013, right? That was, okay, so for those of you that don't know, you're going to see clips of it as we talk about it.
Run us through the WestJet campaign.
All right.
Rafie, tell us what happened.
So basically what happened was this. There was a flight, between two cities in Canada, right, where they had people, that were, people that were boarding a flight, presumably going back to their hometowns or something or other, and they set up this box, right, in the middle of the departure lounge, right, at their departure gate, and people would go up, they scan their boarding passes, and then a Santa would appear, right, and then he would ask, what do you want for Christmas? And people thought it was a recording, but then they realized that it was live, that there was someone actually responding to them in the Santa suit. And he would ask, what did you want as a gift? And, you had kids asking for things. You had adults asking for things. There was one guy who tried his luck and said, you know what? I really want a big screen TV, that sort of stuff. And I think people were just like, oh, this is just some fun stuff, just something silly for us to do. They just have a guy in a Santa suit, like just interacting with people for Christmas fun. Right? And so they get on their flight. While they're going through the air, WestJet engaged a team of shoppers to go around to their retail partners and fulfill every single thing that they could on that Christmas list. Right? They went out to to Best Buy, whoever, just to get their gifts and then wrap it all up before these people landed in their destination. And when they got there, they went to the luggage carousels, and instead of their luggage coming out first, it was gifts. First gift, second gift, everybody was like, what's going on? And then you see that look of realization on their faces. It's like, oh my God, they actually bought us our presents. And then it was just capturing the reactions after that, and then just seeing everybody just being surprised by it, like during this gift giving season. And the very first time I watched it, I cried. Like, I cried because there was that one lady who had asked for a camera, and she takes it out of the box and she looks at it, and she just, okay, I'm getting goosebumps right now just describing it. She takes it out of the box and she looks at it and she just starts weeping, and I'm like, oh man, that's, I get it. Like, sometimes people, I suppose, coming from a privileged background in my sense, that sometimes we don't understand the value of things, to people. Like, they work really hard to be nice to themselves, and sometimes they, that's the one time of the year that they could, spend a little bit of money on themselves. And maybe this lady that year just couldn't, and she wanted a camera, but she just didn't have the money for it. And then suddenly it appears, and you could just see in her eyes, like, this meant so much to her.
No,
and that
absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's interesting because I completely had a very similar reaction to you. So you sent the video over to me, and I had never seen it before previously. And it was a 5.5 minute video, I think, and it felt like it went by in 30 seconds because the story was so well choreographed and the filming was so well done, and it felt so genuine. Like, obviously there was a significant amount of production and planning that went into the commercial, but at the end of the day, like, it felt very human and very genuine and very natural, and I think that's why it invoked the emotional response that it actually did. It was a really, really impressive commercial.
Yeah, I mean, just describing it verbally right now, I'm like, yeah.
Do we need to take a break so you can get yourself together real fast? You're gonna be okay.
It's okay. I know Sarah's itching to just come over and take over my spot. Like, I can see.
Don't let her. You'll never get it back.
Yeah, that's why I know. I got to be very careful about this seat. Yeah, but what's your favorite Christmas campaign?
You know what? I like a lot of different Christmas campaigns. Like I always liked the those little Hershey's Kisses. Did you ever see like the Jingle Bells one that they did where they're
Hmm.
like it's hard to explain. We'll put it in the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
some of my favorite Christmas commercials, and I guess this is a testament of my all actual things that I like. So I love the National Basketball Association, NBA, and they've
Hmm.
always done really cool and fun and interesting marketing campaigns in general, but specifically during Christmas. They've got one where they got five of the best players in the world, like Dwayne Wade, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and they all have their own basket. And on the basket are a set of bells, and each bells has a different key, and they're all shooting baskets. And as each one goes in, it's playing
Okay.
Jingle Bells, and it's just the choreography of how they did that was very impressive. But I just loved it because it was lighthearted. It showed the actual product, which is basketball, which is this amazing, skillful sport that requires amazing athleticism, while also bringing the Christmas vibe into it with the actual song.
Hmm.
And then they were also, from a business perspective, not just promoting the game. The call to action at the end was promoting their new Christmas jerseys, which obviously I wanted because those Christmas jerseys are sick. So it was like the perfect formula, which as a marketer, and even when I was younger, when I wasn't into marketing, even then I was like, oh God, that commercial just had it all. So, and the
Hmm.
NBA's has had a plethora of different commercials during Christmas, but that one was always one that stuck with me. And it was interesting because it was a shorter commercial as opposed to the WestJet, which was a 5.5 minute sort of
The long form.
narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
it was like a short film basically. These
Hmm.
NBA commercials were typically short, sweet, to the point, 20, 30 seconds. So different strategies, but both were very effective in their own ways.
Yeah, I mean, Steph Curry playing Jingle Bells with the basketball just reminds me of Optimus Prime eating a turkey or
There you
trying
go.
to eat a turkey. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but these are these are our favorite Christmas campaigns of years gone by, right? But as we all know, it's different. This year it's different, right?
It's
And
it really is.
yeah, but like how is it different? Like if we can sort of like verbalize it. I mean, everybody feels that it's different. Everybody knows it's different. Let's verbalize it. How is it different?
I mean, just pointing out the obvious. It's obviously this pandemic has put us all in a situation that we've never had before, where the economy and even more crucially, the entire travel industry has been crippled. And the holidays are the busiest time of the year for traveling, between November to December, and even up until February with Chinese New Year. But on the Western side, holidays are typically the busiest travel time of the year, and that's kind of not a thing this year. And it
Yeah.
feels like it's just changed the entire dynamic of the holidays this year because of that. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, traditionally, like, we would start hearing, are you having a wonderful Christmas the moment Halloween ends,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the malls will be flooded with Christmas music. But right now, we're not going to malls, so we're not hearing that music. And even if
Mm-hmm.
we are in the malls, most of them are pretty quiet, right? There's not much festivities going on. There's none of that traditional, with what you call centerpiece setups that they have for like Christmas events, and sales and everything. So even the commercials about Christmas this year, there's a different feel. Usually they evoke a much more positive emotional reaction. They talk about family and togetherness and coming together, gift giving, that sort of stuff. And it's just it's I think a lot of brands feel like it's wrong, and I think personally as well, we'd feel like it's wrong to like, yeah, we're simply having a wonderful time because clearly the planet isn't.
Yeah,
And
not our
yeah,
favorite year. I would say,
yeah,
all things considered, and the holidays have been really compromised because of that. And we as marketers really need to take that into consideration and sort of tread lightly. It's interesting because like traditionally, like a Christmas campaign, you try to focus on four things. Evoking some sort of an emotion. You want to communicate the brand's values. while capturing the brand's voice and identity, and then some sort of
Yeah.
call to action, because at the end of the day we are businesses and we are trying to sell products or services. But this year, I think those are all important things to focus on. But more importantly, it's the concept of what we call in marketing sometimes of like reading the room, and
Yeah.
being aware of what the situation is and how to voice your brand during those situations. And this has happened throughout all of history, whether it's been times of pandemics, times of war, times of natural catastrophes, even during things like the election cycle, things sort of change a little bit. So I think that the principles remain of the fact that we're trying to evoke emotional responses, we're trying to communicate our brand's values, we're trying to always capture our voice and our identity, but we got to do it cautiously this year,
Yeah.
because obviously, most specifically with the travel industry just being decimated, people can't see their families, man. And that was the core of Christmas marketing, was people together and loving each other and focusing on what matters. And it's not like those things are completely gone, because there are ways that we can obviously still interact and engage with our loved ones, but not in the way that it was in years past.
Yeah, I think brands, they're very fearful of not reading the room right. I think in this current climate, and I think it's a good principle, honestly, for brands to have all the time, knowing how to read the room, because we all know of like tone deaf campaigns that have come out over the years and like completely missed the point or missed the mark, whatever.
Yeah, dude.
But now more than ever, I think it's so critical that brands really do read the room before they put anything out
Dude,
there.
I 100% agree with you, and it's something I'm very passionate about. It's something that I'm very passionate about as a marketer, where always being aware of what's happening. I'm a big Gary V follower, and he's always talking about culture, culture, culture. Because people aren't interested necessarily in your product; they're interested in things that interest them, and culturally, that's how you can draw that connection. And culture sort of goes hand in hand with whatever's happening in the world. And as long as you're focusing on that, you're going to be one step ahead of the competition. So it's super important to ensure that you're always focusing on that, and that's focusing on culture, but also more specifically for this situation, got to read the room. And the room has very strong signals right now. And I think those signals are, make sure that
Yeah.
not everybody is going to be blessed as to be able to be with their family this holidays. I think that's what it comes down to. So you got to be sensitive to that. Right, Raf?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And there are actually some brands that are aware of this, and to try and take the sting out of the possible, not to say the possible, the definite like sad experiences that people are going to be having this Christmas, right? Heineken, for example, have done a very interesting campaign where they basically said that your family will probably be just as annoying, even if they're going to be talking to them through FaceTime or video calls or whatever. And they went through this whole their whole campaign was built around this principle, like you might not be able to see your family, but don't worry, they'll be just as irritating as ever.
See, I love that, because that's them
Yeah.
reading the room, that's them assessing the situation and making lemonade out of lemons, And because it's a situation that we can all understand, because our ability to be with our families right now is gone, more or less, for a lot of us. For some of us are blessed to be near our families, but others of us, we can't. But yeah, I think that that's a really, really great ad, because also it brings a sense of humor, because that's another interesting part about right now what's happening is we're all bombarded by all this bullshit all the time, and it feels like it's constantly bearing down upon us. So if you and your brand can figure out a way to make a little bit lighthearted of the situation and make people laugh, like that is what's going to really separate your brand. Because right now people just want to laugh, and this Heineken commercial this Heineken marketing campaign is a great example of how they've done that.
Okay, yeah. I think that's an example of a company that's doing it right. I'm glad to say though, because when we were doing research for this episode, right, that we were trying to see whether any brands had made any missteps, and by and large we didn't really find any, did we? I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, I think
Right.
we're also a little bit early,
Yeah.
like you said, in the Christmas cycle. Normally it would have happened earlier, but just with the way things are happening, there haven't been as many Christmas-y type commercials, at least that I've been seeing. So they might start coming out in the next few weeks, leading up closer to Christmas. But yeah, more or less, we weren't able to really find any.
Okay, cool. So what should brands be doing and what should they not be doing for the holiday campaigns? What should brands be doing to show empathy? I think. I mean, that's a key word here, I think, because like, we're all going through a collective global trauma, right? Right. And I think empathy is such an important aspect of how we recover as a civilization from all of this, right? But how can brands show that empathy? How do you feel? I think that's what they should be doing. What do you think?
No, man, I completely agree. And I think that this is a prime opportunity for brands to focus on things that are sort of larger than just their products, you know? So this is the opportunity to really make connections and for them to say, hey, I empathize with what you're going through because we're going through it as well. So I think that there is an enormous
Yeah.
opportunity there. So I would say for dues, focus on what your customer base is experiencing. Obviously, there's a universal experience that's occurring, but it's also micro-segmented, and different types of people from different types of areas and different, whatever it might be, backgrounds are experiencing it in sort of different ways. Somebody in New York City is having a very different experience than somebody in Melbourne right now, or Frankfurt versus Tokyo, So I think that what you should be focusing on is your ideal customer base, and try to empathize with the experiences that they are specifically going through. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I mean, I agree with that. Like the core messaging, for anything that is being done right now should emphasize that empathy, should emphasize affinity, should empathize. Uh, Sarah's laughing at me just because I tripped over my own tongue. Thanks, Sarah. It should empathize with the customer base more than anything, right? I mean, even though we talk about different experiences, someone's Christmas right now in New York is very different from someone's Christmas in Tokyo, right? For example, right? But there are commonalities, right? We're all kind of stuck indoors. We all can't fly. We all can't see our families, right? And I think messaging from brands has to be cognizant of these sorts of commonalities, right? I mean, in seeking to identify different experiences for on an individual basis across different markets, sometimes we might lose sight of the fact that there is actually a very large pool of shared experience as well that brands should be highlighting and making a key part of their decision making process.
For sure, yeah. And
Yeah.
specifically, like, I think that, we can even say, like there's a good thing and a bad thing to focus on right now. And I would say the good thing is what we've been reiterating over and over again: core messaging, empathy, affinity, shared experience. And maybe the bad thing is conversions, like, I think that there might be something to say that right now isn't the time for hard sells. I mean, it wouldn't be tasteless to do it, but I think that you might miss an opportunity to create a connection. So, instead of doing, Christmas special, buy it now, that sort of hard Christmas sort of sell, do some sort of like a promotion where, hey, 5% of sales are going to benefit some sort of nonprofit for families who have been affected by COVID. This could be a golden opportunity for you to really connect with the Christmas message of connectivity and one worldness, and just us all being, and love and empathy and all that, and also in a way that still helps improve the way that your brand is perceived by your customer base, because there's definitely an undeniable trend where brands that are focusing more on eco-friendliness and like nonprofits and like donations, and that are really focusing on messages that are larger than just their products, those are the brands that really have been standing the test of time in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you might think it's not tasteless to run a conversion ad like right now, but I actually kind of think it might be, especially when, you're still trying to use the traditional Christmas imagery and Christmas trappings in order to drive your campaigns. I just think, it would be, again, something tone deaf, especially in lieu of what's happening to everybody around the world.
Yeah, and if anything, we can both agree
yeah.
it would be a missed opportunity. Use this time to connect with your customers. Like, don't focus on conversions. Put the product out there. Of course, like we have businesses to run. We have to generate sales. Especially now, times are tough. But don't fall into the trap of just being like, times are tough, I need to convert. You need to think, times are tough, I need to grow.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to remember that. Yeah, times are tough, I need to grow. We need to grow. Yeah. Because I think, the benefit here obviously is that if you create that emotional connection during times like this with your customer base, then the likelihood of them wanting to do business with you again in the future is far higher, because you've actually impacted their lives positively in some way. And consumers are far more likely to remember that than a discount code for 10%.
Nailed it, dude.
From,
Absolutely.
yeah,
100%.
that's it. Yeah.
Focus on ways to make a resounding impact on your customer base right now, because the opportunities are there.
Yeah. And I think like I don't want people to misunderstand like what we're talking about, because the examples we've used, we've talked about WestJet, NBA, we've talked about Starbucks and all that, right? These are all big corporations with big budgets and whatnot, right? But like it's not like you can't do these things, the tips that we're sharing or the advice that we're talking about. Like you can't do this with SMEs, small to medium enterprises, right? It's you can do these same core components, for your Christmas campaigns as well. And they actually have added advantages as well. They've got most of them are localized, so they can really tailor their messaging to specific experiences within their area, and then to create that emotional connection with their customers, right?
Yeah, dude, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because, sometimes we'll hear people say, oh, I don't have, they'll see like a WestJet commercial, right? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I can agree. That's freaking amazing, but I don't have a budget for a 5.5-minute video spread across 2 different states, and to buy, which I totally understand. But
yeah, because you've used the budget on your wardrobe, bruh.
What was
why.
that?
That's where you've used all of your budget on your wardrobe.
You saying I look fly right now, Raf?
You look spiffy, my friend. You look spiffy.
You look
my friend.
spiffy too in that pink shirt. This is actually,
Thank you
quick
very
side
much,
note, this is the first time we've done a podcast and we haven't matched. Fun note, we've always coincidentally worn the same color shirt.
I'll tell you this much though, like my team today, half of my team today are all wearing like a white top with like black like jeans. I'm wearing black jeans. I'm not gonna lift up and show everybody, but like half the team is wearing that today. And I've got Dana, who's like a complete rainbow. She's literally wearing an entire rainbow,
really sticking
like, for
out.
her outfit. Yeah, she shines.
Oh
I
yeah.
tell you.
Oh yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so for the SMEs, I'm
Yeah.
just glad that you brought it up, because whether or not you have the budget, messaging doesn't require a budget. Good copy doesn't require a budget. Empathy doesn't require a budget. Obviously, does a bigger budget help? Sure, like let's all admit it. But for SMEs and smaller businesses, I think that something we were talking about earlier, Rafie, about how someone's experience in Tokyo is very different from someone's experience in Mexico City, is very different from all these different parts of the world. So if you are an SME, and especially if you're an SME that is specifically tailored your products or services to a localized market, you have a golden opportunity to speak to your neighbors, because that's in essence who you're marketing to, is your neighbors, and nobody else has a better idea of what you're going through than your neighbors, and nobody else has a better idea of what your neighbors are going through than you. So take the crisis as an opportunity to really buckle down, double down, and create that relationship with your localized market.
Yeah. Because that's one advantage that they have. Like, if anything, they experience, again, we go back to the example of New York and Japan, right? Or New York and Singapore, where someone in that city is having a different experience with someone in another city. But also a marketing executive in New York is not going to have the same experience as the marketing executive in Singapore necessarily,
100%.
right? We all abide by the same principles, but the actual experience might be different. Now might be a good time to have like localized campaigns here in Singapore, for example, in dialects, in Mandarin or in Hokkien, for example, right? That really connect with people who are suffering because of the pandemic and are trying to have as best a Christmas as they can. This is something that you couldn't do this in London, for example. You couldn't run a campaign in Hokkien in London. Like, that's not going to work. It might work for a very tiny, small subset of the population, but it wouldn't work otherwise. And I think that's where SMEs have have an advantage.
For sure,
actually,
for sure, dude. And like, it also
reminds
reminds me of like, just like as a marketing strategy, we always try to, tailor ads specifically to the locations that we are marketing to. Not always, but there's definitely a correlation between higher conversion rates and click-through rates with that, because people feel like they're being marketed to, especially, like if you think about like a large international marketing campaign that's speaking to everybody on a broad level, it's doing just that. It's speaking to everybody on a broad level. So if you're looking to compete with the larger players who are doing the sort of more broad messaging, a campaign that sort of blankets everyone, you can increase your conversion rates and increase your competitive advantage by honing down on the localized market and like naming them. Like if you're an SME in Hong Kong and you're competing against a larger brand who's doing a more blanket sort of generic campaign, put in your messaging, we're here for Hong Kongers or something like that. Whatever it might be, like get them
Yeah.
directly, because that's a very powerful advantage that you do have.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's sum it up, right? We've spoken at length already, right? A little bit over time, but like, let's try and summarize this up. Like, what brands should be doing during this holiday season? Okay, so do you think we can keep it to 3 points?
We can
4?
try our
3, 4?
hardest.
Yeah. Do or do not. There is no try, as Yoda
Well
once
said.
said. Okay, I'll go first. Let's see if I can summarize this. Read the room, brands, because things are different this year. That's point number one. I think that makes sense, right? What's number 2 for you?
Number 2, I think that there's, how do I want to say this? Be optimistic. This crisis can
Be
be
optimistic.
turned into an opportunity. You can always make lemonade out of lemons. So get those creative juices flowing, and as opposed to feeling down about the possibility that how bad COVID might be hurting your business, use the opportunity to kind of grow in some new ways. So I would say be adaptive.
Okay. And number 3. Do you want to take this one, or will you let
I'll
me
let you
this
have it,
one?
Rafs.
Okay. I mean, I guess, like, let's talk, like, for SMEs, I think all these principles that we've talked about, they apply not just to big corporations with giant budgets, but also definitely to SMEs. So to SMEs, these things apply. Use this. This is a golden opportunity for you as well. To create a bond with your customers that will if it can stand the test of time right now, it'll stand the test of
For
time.
sure.
In the
And with
future as
that
well.
too, like don't forget, like the trend of supporting local businesses is growing internationally. So this is another opportunity to sort of, buckle down with your home base.
All right, cool. I guess that
I think
covers
so.
all of it. I think, yeah. I mean, we could talk a lot more, but then that's like
We
just
could
gonna
always talk a lot more.
create. Oh man, you've got me there. I'm in love with the sound of my own voice. Yeah, that's for sure. All right, so what was I gonna say? Yeah, so we've talked about how brands are doing different. Like, how are you dealing with the COVID Christmas?
Oh, bringing it to a personal level, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like genuinely, because like I'll admit I'm struggling a little bit because I haven't seen my daughter in 9 months, right? I mean, we've done video calls, right? We text and whatnot, but I haven't seen her in 9 months. The last time I saw her was in January, right? And I haven't seen her since, And I think this is the first Christmas and New Year's that I'm gonna have away from her for the first time, I think, in like 8 years.
That's tough, man.
Yeah. So like I'll admit I'm not dealing with it very well. Like how are you like feeling like missing out on family back in
Dude,
Florida?
it sucks. It absolutely sucks. I was supposed to
Yeah.
go to the States in April. Obviously, that trip got canceled, and I haven't been home. I haven't seen my family in a year and a half. And typically, I'll make 1 or 2 trips home a year minimum. Usually, a family member or 2 might come out here to visit me, or I'll meet them traveling internationally somewhere. And obviously, that's just that's not an option right now. So I wouldn't say I'm not smitten with the situation right now. That's for sure. It sucks. We're doing the best that we can, though. It's funny. You and I had the Social Dilemma podcast a few weeks ago. We were
Yeah.
just hating on technology and how it's destroying our lives and all this stuff, which many aspects of it are. But you do see the flip side sometimes, where technology such as FaceTiming and Skype calls and Zoom enables us to at least feel somewhat closer. I'm not going to lie. I mean, my family and I FaceTime very often, and it really takes the edge off. It doesn't fill the void, but it definitely helps take the edge off a little bit.
Yeah. I mean I still have huge fights with my family via WhatsApp. So I guess something.
There you go.
Yeah, but it does, it does kind of. I mean, I actually literally last night I had a dream where, or sort of a nightmare where I was trying to escape Singapore because of all the lockdowns and the border controls, and like trying to find a way to like to an airport so I could fly home or to like see my brother. I'm not really sure. I think my brother was there, my sister-in-law as well. I think were in the dream, and it was so strange because I remember offering trying to buy my way through the border. It was so strange, and I woke up like miserable as hell because it was just, man, I need to go see my family.
I know, man.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do take, we're all going through it, and sometimes for better or for worse, that gives me a sense of community that we're not the only ones suffering. It's a universal thing right now.
Yeah.
And we're just hoping it ends sooner than later.
Yeah. But hey, I'm gonna go out to bat and like talk a little bit about our company here. And when we say we suffering, I think everybody here in Hong Kong and in First Page Hong Kong, First Page Singapore, I think we're all going through this collective experience together. And I just want to say thank you to everybody at First Page for essentially welcoming me as a family member here and sort of making it a bit more bearable. Like the togetherness that the team has, not just the content team, but everybody, right, in the entire agency on both sides of the South China Sea, right? It's been amazing, and like we're trying to plan like gatherings and whatnot, of course, based on prevailing COVID restrictions, whatever they are. We're planning like Christmas parties and stuff like that. So I just love the fact that they're trying their best, to keep the holiday spirit going, knowing that, people like you and me who can't go home, right, can't visit our families. Yeah, it's nice to have this family right
That's
here
really
as
well said, and I agree, because you and I, just like millions of people around the world, are away from our families and we cannot be with them, and that sucks. But it's really great to have a workplace where you feel like you have a second family, and where you feel like, yet again, it doesn't replace your family, but it helps take the edge off at least a little bit. And here at First Page, I've similarly felt the same warmth that you've been describing. We just got a cool crew here, man. We got a really cool crew, and it's one of the, I love the work that I do, but it's really the people that get me excited about coming in every single day, and I think that's the most important part of a company and a company's culture, because that's what connects. There's marketing jobs anywhere, but it's the people that really keep you coming back. So for everyone out there, I hope that you've got a good work situation as well, because it's really nice to have.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I give her a lot of crap, but yeah, people like Sarah and all that, they do give me life. The kids keep me young.
You young. Do they have a nickname for you? Because I'm a little bit older
yeah.
than my content team as well, so they all call me like Grandpa all the time.
Oh, Grandpa is a nice one. It's not so bad, I mean, yeah, I don't want to speculate as to what kind of nicknames that they.
Some things are better left unsaid, right? We'll just leave it at that.
Probably, yeah. As it is, though, we've run over time as per usual. I don't know, man. It's just so much fun talking to you.
It's always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, so I guess we're gonna wrap this up. For those of you that are watching, listening, wherever you are, hopefully, if you're listening to this will be the first episode that hits Spotify, and we're gonna be Spotify. That makes us official. Official, yeah, we are official, and I think 5 episodes in, I don't know, it's been a lot of fun doing this, and I just want to say that I'm thankful for having a creative partner in you to be on this journey with.
You refer to me as your creative partner. Yeah. I like that. I'm flattered. I was like, who's his creative partner? Oh, it's me.
I am talking to you.
I'm flattered. Oh my god.
I mean, everybody,
the camera's catching I'm blushing right now. My god. I gotta take a layer off.
Yeah. Oh, did they just turn up the heating just for a second, just to like give you that little bit of a red flush, my friend? But yeah, I just want to say, thank you, for all of your efforts throughout this, and I'm just saying, since it's the holidays, and I'm trying to find things to be thankful for in spite of the situation. I just want you to know that I'm thankful for having you as a friend.
Love the attitude, Raf, and I couldn't agree with you more. Very thankful for you as well, and looking forward to keep pumping out some more of these podcasts.
Awesome. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's it for today's episode. All of the stuff that we talked about, you'll find the resources in the video descriptions or in the Spotify episode description. I'm not entirely sure what they call it officially, but that's what I'm calling it. So you'll find all the resources that we have mentioned, that we've talked about, the examples of the campaigns, etc., in the descriptions below this video or this track, however you're consuming this particular piece of content. And as ever, please be sure to follow us on all of our social media channels on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And with that, thank you very much, Aaron.
Thank you very much, Rafie, my creative
care,
partner. We'll chat soon.
See ya.